Welcome to Knockhill for the Scottish Hot Hatch Championship in association with the Scottish Motor Trade Association. We're going to walk down the grid and have a quick word with a few of the drivers, see if we can find Stuart Scott. He is a veteran to this championship and I think he's actually in a car that I used to race. Sorry guys, can you find him? Oh, he's hiding from me. Stuart, have a quick word. Don't hide from me.
Yes, Fiona, fancy seeing you here.
It was nice to see you back. You're a veteran to this championship.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't say veteran, I think Peter Cruikshanks is a bit older than me, but yeah, it's what, 2010? I think it's 2010 the last race here. So we're back this year, have a wee go, and we'll see what happens. I still need lots of track time, lots of practice, but we're getting faster this morning than it was yesterday, so much happier. Just excitement, ready to go now, so it's fine.
And is the heat, is that affecting you today?
It's warm in the car, and it wrecks the tyres. You're getting warm in the car, the heat, the temperature of the track and the tyres will just go off, and you're fighting the car at every corner. But it's the same for everybody. But it's quite nice to see some sunny weather at Knockhill for a change. Normally it's snow or sleet or rain, but no, I'm enjoying it.
Blair, just a quick word before you hop in the car. Congratulations on pole position. Bent down for me, thank you. What are your thoughts on the race ahead? You got any tactics?
It's just to try and get away at the very start because I've got three very quick guys right behind me. So my hope is make a clean start, get away and let them squabble with each other.
I'll let you get strapped in and best of luck for the race today. Thank you. And Duncan, just saw you in the grid, but I'll just hand over to you now for the commentary of the Hot Hatch Championship here at Knockhill.
Yeah, thanks Fiona. Quickly ran up to the commentary box here. Well, Stuart Scott, yes, you are a veteran of the Fiesta Championship. It's got to be said. Peter Cruikshank may be older, and Blair Murdoch absolutely on the money there, because the top four cars all within 8 or 6 tenths of a second. In fact, the top 5 within 8 tenths, but the top 3 all within the same tenth of a second. Incredibly close through qualifying. And I do predict that the temperature here today will cause an issue with these cars and the way they handle and how they get on with the race. Murdoch's on pole from Paul Curtis with Wayne McCauley. Those guys all within the same tenth of a second when it comes to qualifying. Barry Farquharson up there as well. Cruikshank alongside Stuart Scott, two veterans back there. As the red lights start to come on, we've got a full complement of red lights and we're racing here at Knockhill for the SMTA Fiesta Hot Hatch Championship and the BMW Compact Cup as they go down towards the first corner. For the first time of asking, it looks like Paul Curtis had the jump as they come over the top of Duffus Dip. Yes, Paul Curtis leads the way through turn 1, so Blair Murdoch hasn't managed to make his pole position count as we now go down through Butchers and up towards the chicane. Through go the cars as they all land. It's almost like they're going to have to look after the tyres in the beginning of this race, because this is pretty intense heat for Knockhill. You can see the heat shimmering away there, and that's something that we're really not used to here. As into the hairpin for the first lap of asking, McCauley's having a little look at Murdoch. Blair Murdoch really strong on the brakes there, and Paul Curtis, I have to say, I think he saw that coming, and if anything, he was being a little bit careful and cautious not to wipe the nose off Blair there. Blair unfortunately has lost a position to Wayne McCauley up that main straight. The defending 2017 champion has moved ahead into second place to the number 1 car. As we see them going over the crest of Duffus, Barry Farquharson just now in a fine 4th place. Great to see Barry back up there and on form as the guys make their way down. Look how close McCauley is to the back of Paul Curtis as they go over that new and improved chicane and then up the back straight. McCauley under a bit of pressure now from Blair Murdoch, I've got to say. Blair got a good run through that chicane, and can he make a move going in through Clark Coronel right together? Now this is what Fiesta racing should be like. Somebody's a bit of a lock up there. That was possibly Stuart Scott further back in the pack, but we have seen Wayne McCauley disappear into the distance quite a few times, to tell the truth, so it's good to see these guys all back in a bit of a battle at the front of the race. Barry just off the back in 4th position now, but he will make amends, that is for sure. Up the main straight they go to click off another lap under baking hot conditions here at Knockhill Racing Circuit. The crowd in their shorts and t-shirt with their sun cream on, protecting themselves from the heat, and the drivers, they don't have that luxury. They're in the car in a fireproof suit, sometimes a 3-layer fireproof suit. They've got to really try and just grin and bear it. Barry Farquharson, you can see he's got the window open on the passenger side of the car. It's good, it keeps you cool, but it makes the car slow in a straight line. It acts like a big suction, takes all the air inside. So a lot of these guys, especially in the mini championship as well, they'll run with the windows up and they'll have the heaters on full blast as well to try and get all the hot air away from the engine as much as they can. Stuart Scott runs very wide through Clark Corner there. Into the hairpin they come though. Paul Curtis just hovering about the middle of the road, being a little bit defensive. But ultimately, Paul driving a very good controlled race right now as we once again cross the finish line, which is there, and the start line, which is just over the crest of the hill. Look at this, side by side up the main straight. Stuart Scott's mistake at Clark's really has cost him quite dearly. And that looks like it was Lorne Murray alongside him as they go in towards Duffus Dip. Curtis misses his apex by quite a bit there. Barry Farquharson sideways over the crest of the hill as well, but Stuart Scott managing to hold that position as they go in through Duffus Dip. Murray hovering about the back, unable to make any sort of inroads there. But this is a good showing from Lorne, much more towards the pointy end. Got Jordan Loring, Stephen Ward, Aidan Ward also out on track today. Up the back straight we go towards Clarkson. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that, look how close do you like it? They go through Clarkson, head towards the hairpin. And then we get the next 4 cars, in fact 5 cars you could say, as they head towards the hairpin as well. More gravel getting kicked up though, so a few guys taking liberties with track limits. And look at Blair Murdoch, that was a cheeky little attempt there, Blair, heading towards the apex, but you can almost see the cars now starting to wash out on the actual turning phase of the corner. The car looks like it's being a little bit lazy to turn in and head back towards the apex at the hairpin there. And I would just put that down to the heat of the tarmac and the heat of the tyres today. Things will fall off pretty quickly. So who can manage their car towards the end of the race the best will have the best chance of winning. Oh, look at that, up the inside goes Farquharson. He puts it alongside Blair Murdoch, and that's a pretty good move. That's a strong move. And Blair saw that one coming, so he was very good at seeing that and stayed out of the way. One thing when somebody does pass you, you have to almost concede the corner, as Farquharson got alongside. If Murdoch had turned in there, that would have been contact, and that would have been them both possibly out of the race in the gravel at turn 3 McIntyre. Whoa! Sideways through Clark Corner for Peter Cruikshank. The canny veteran having a little bit of a rallycross moment there. Very sideways as they go through. And Murdoch back under Farquharson. There's contact at the hairpin this time. Just a small tap in the back quarter, the back bumper for Barry there from Blair. That's just a hello, I'm here, let's get going, because we're losing touch with the leaders. Blair Murdoch will see the gap in front of Farquharson starting to stretch out between him and Macaulay. So it's all about maybe not punting him up the back, Blair, but trying to home in and work as a team to catch up with these two, the guys at the front, Paul Curtis and Wayne Macaulay. 95 and 1 go down through 95 and 1 go down through Butchers over the crest chicane. Look at Macaulay, look at Farquharson, they're all sliding about now. It'll feel like they're driving on blocks of jello as they make their way through the chicane and up the back straight. Again, they get to Clark Corner as we watch the rest of the guys come through and make their way up. Look at that, it's almost like spot the cloud in the sky. There is beautiful blue sky. It really does make for great viewing and great racing. A little bit uncomfortable, as the driver said in the car, but ooh, number 75, way up there, Jordan Loring, guest driver today. Big hunk of sausage curb as he went through there. Now again, Blair Murdoch tries to go underneath Barry Farquharson again at the hairpin. And the guys accelerate up the main straight. That gap quite consistent between Macaulay and Farquharson. Doesn't look like there's much change there, but the gap behind Blair Murdoch to this man, Stuart Scott, ever widening, and in turn Scott pulling away from Murray. You'll be happy with that one, Stuart Scott. He does need track time. He's been around since the days of the actual XR2 Championship, as has Peter Cruikshank. And Peter Cruikshank has been involved in, I think, every single Fiesta race that the Scottish Motor Racing Club have ever run. Now that's a start for you. As Stephen Ward goes through McIntyre's and then down Butchers and over the crest of the chicane. Let's see how these guys come through. Ward looks like he's very gentle there, fast but smooth on his tyres, which is what you have to be. There's no point driving it to within the edge of its life, or your tyres are never ever going to last the full length of this race. As we get to the hairpin now, through the come there. I was trying to hear if we could have heard any understeer, any noises in the background of cars struggling for grip, but those guys at the front, those first two seem okay. Now this Barry Farquharson starting to catch up with Wayne McCauley. Let's have a little look at our computer screen right now. Fastest lap of the race has gone to Farquharson, yeah. Barry with a 62.2 just now. So let's see if anybody can go quicker than that throughout the course of the race. Paul Curtis's fastest lap 62.2 as well, but just the lower numbers make it swing in the direction of Barry, and he's homing in on the back of Wayne McCauley as Curtis has a bit of a moment through the chicane there. Wayne McCauley's going to see this blue number 18 starting to catch him, so there may be a little bit of a worried moment in that car, the number 1 car, as he sees the ever beginning presence in his mirror. Up the back straight go the guys again, as the front two leave the hairpin. Now where's Farquharson? Let's try and get a good view from this camera angle. Yeah, that gap's definitely shrinking now. Definitely shrinking now. Barry has got the pace here, and if anything, is he bringing a little bit of Blair Murdoch with him? Well, there's probably a bit of Blair Murdoch on the side of his car, but is he starting to drag Blair Murdoch up to the back of the leading two? Can we once again get a 4-car battle? That battle was 4 cars so tight at the beginning, but then when the overtake happened between Farquharson and Murdoch, it split the pack. And it's taken this long for Barry to try and get back up there. As you can see, he's really trying to drive hard now. Let's watch through the chicane and see how aggressive he is. Through he comes. Yeah, Farquharson looking pretty good there. Oh, Murdoch, big sideways, and that sideways is going to kill his momentum all the way up the back straight. In the car, he will know, he'll have given himself a little talking to there. Because yes, as a driver, it feels great, but you know it's making you slow. The rest of the guys and runners all come through. Stephen Ward still in a decent position thus far at this point in the race. Jordan Loring in car 75. We've got to take your hats off there. A 63.0 second lap as the front tightens back up. Paul Curtis coming under massive, massive pressure from Wayne McCauley and Barry Farquharson. Just off the back after that possible moment in the chicane, losing a bit of momentum is Blair Murdoch. But Blair will not be done, that's for sure, as the cars go down through Leslie's. Named after the late, great David Leslie, turn number 2. And then McIntyre's after Bob McIntyre. First man ever to lap the Isle of Man TT in over 100 miles per hour. And he'd done that in 1957. Great bit of history here at Knockhill Racing Circuit for all these corners. The chicane, and you climb up the back straight in towards Clark's. Named after, obviously, the late, great Jim Clark. A man who needs no introduction, one of the all-time greats. Whoa, Stuart Scott, speaking of all-time greats, one of the all-time great saves there as he come through the chicane. He was very lucky not to have that swap ends on him there. He put a wheel in the gravel trap, but he managed to keep that safe and pointing in the right direction. A lucky man there. You don't want to drop it at this point in the race when it's coming towards. Oh, now is there a problem for Paul Curtis here? He got a big up the back. Paul Curtis slows and his leader split him. McCauley goes right, Farquharson goes left, and Paul Curtis heads for the pit lane. Absolute disaster as we're side by side up the main straight for the two leaders as they now come in towards Duffy Step. Who's it going to be? McCauley's on the inside, Farquharson on the outside, and what an absolute disaster for Paul Curtis, the man who was leading the race. Looked like he was controlling it, and that looked like some sort of gear selection problem or possibly a drive issue. What a disaster for Paul Curtis. And now Barry Farquharson trying so hard, just collects one of the floppy bollards going through the chicane. And he's got a chance of winning this. Blair Murdoch inherits a podium position as well. But what a shame, what a big shame for Paul Curtis. He's got nothing left. He's pulled the car off into the pit lane. And that has released the champion, Wayne McCauley. But he's released himself with Barry Farquharson. And can Farquharson do anything about this? He's driven so well in this race, Barry, to come from 4th place to 3rd place, to bridge the gap up to the two leaders. He's now right on the bootlet of Wayne McCauley. He has a chance of winning this. And there is not long to go in this race as we cross the line. Blair Murdoch is out of it. It's between McCauley and Farquharson. Last time over the line, 0.3 of a second. And that is absolutely nothing. Stuart Scott finds himself in 4th place now. The demise of number 95, Paul Curtis. And through Duffy Step. Oh, McCauley's wide. McCauley's very wide. He's struggling. He's going to be on a defensive route in towards turn 3 now. Barry Farquharson tries to make a little bit of a wide entry and cut back on the exit of the corner. He can't do it. He's basically brushing the back bumper of Macaulay as they go through the chicane. These two cars on the absolute limit of adhesion as they climb the back straight towards Clark's. Murdoch still having fun sliding about in third place, but it's all about the two leaders, and we'd like to try and focus back on them as look at that. Stuart Scott comes through again. Again, not a great line for Stuart Scott. He really is looking like he's in a great deal of trouble as the leaders now come into the hairpin. Something must have happened at Clark's because Farquharson's lost a little bit of ground. Macaulay's made it into the hairpin in the lead. He's just got to get through the hairpin and up towards what looks like is going to be a cracking victory for Wayne Macaulay. He swerves left, he swerves right, he goes over the line, and I thought that would have been the checker flag. It was a checker flag, it was just a little bit late there. Macaulay wins the race. Farquharson comes home in second place. Blair Murdoch comes home in third. There's Stuart Scott in fourth. Number 75, Jordan Lauren. I've got to say well done to the guest driver. And then Lauren Murray comes through. Cracking stuff. What an end to the Fiesta race there, the SMTA hot hatch. Let's hand down to Fiona in the pit lane.
Congratulations, Wayne. P1 up from P3rd. How was that race for you?
It was a very difficult race. I just had to wait for a couple of mistakes to be made to pick off people, and because the car was a bit slow up the straights, but hopefully we can get that sorted for the next race.
Good. And how are the tyres coping in this heat?
Not very well at all. I could feel like they went off after the first 3 laps. So.
You going to make any changes, set up changes for race 2?
There'll be a lot of changes, I think. See what happens.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much and best of luck for race 2.
Thank you.
And over to you, Duncan, for the second race of the Scottish Hot Hatch Championship here at Knockhill.
So as we see the cars leaving the holding area for the second Fiesta race here, the SMTA Hot Hatch Championship. Predominantly, well, only Fiestas in it today, but BMW Compacts are more than happy. We're more than happy to have you in the back of the grid or in the front of the grid if you can get up there as well, because these guys are very, very fast. Actually, saying that's a BMW pace car this weekend, so there's a good little link. Let's get some BMWs on the grid here. Let's get more Fiestas out as well, and if you've got a hot hatcher that you want to enter in this, why not get it done? After race number 1, Wayne Macaulay said the car was horrible, felt like our tyres were going off too early. A raft of changes have been thrown in the direction of the number 1 car and lines up alongside the man who pushed him so hard, Barry Farquharson. The great shame for race number 1 was the demise of Paul Curtis, the man who runs PCR. A lot of these guys in the paddock out there. He is there at the back and he's managed to get himself back together, thankfully. Let's see how he gets on. The 5-second board goes out from the starter. That means all eyes up towards the bridge or the repeater lights. We have a full complement of lights. Let's go racing as they head down towards toughest dip now for the first team of Askin, and it's a good start from everybody. Thankfully nobody stalls it on the line, and away we go. Let's look at side by side. Farquharson trying to go round outside. That's brave on Wayne Macaulay. Macaulay could just see him very late on the brakes here. Throws the car over the apex curb and he manages to take that one as they go down. And we're on board with Lauren Murray now. Good bit of on-board viewing here. Through McIntyre's. Down towards Butcher's. Big compression at the bottom there before you take a take a breath and go through the chicane, I would imagine, in a Fiesta. And Paul Curtis has made it one position at the back. Let's see how far up the field he goes. Oh, big moment. There was that contact just out of our sight. I think it could have been because the driver's side wing mirror knocked off from Barry Farquharson. And look at the size of the lead that Wayne Macaulay now has. And coming through up the inside, Stuart Scott tries. Can he get that thing stopped? Stuart Scott runs a little bit wide, comes back in. Thankfully, doesn't hit the side of Barry Farquharson, but Barry's wing mirror, you can see on the driver's door there, the door mirror has been removed, it's dangling down. He would rather it probably fell off, but what that means is now, if somebody does come up the inside of him, he really is a little bit lame. He won't see them, he'll be a bit of a sitting duck. People might pounce on him, but they're going to have to try and be fast because Barry is very much on the pace this weekend. There's Sunday, Peter Cruikshank. Wow, that's a huge amount of sausage curb on the inside there, Peter. You got away with that one, pretty lucky, my old boy. And look at that, there's a bit coming off of that car now. That's Blair Murdoch's car. Loses a front left headlight, so hang on, let's put 2 and 2 together here. Door mirror off Barry Farquharson on the right-hand side, left-hand side front light of Blair Murdoch. I wonder if those two guys, it wasn't Stuart Scott that hit him, it must have been Murdoch that was trying up the inside. And just because of that, Stuart Scott got a good run through and tried to pass them all at the hairpin. Rush of blood to the head for Stuart. It was a very good overtaking manoeuvre. Just couldn't get the car slowed down in time. Again, a little bit wide through the hairpin there. Misses his apex, and Paul Curtis sees an opportunity to get involved in this. He'll maybe be thinking twice about attacking Peter Cruikshank and Stuart Scott straight away, because right now they're tearing lumps out of each other around the circuit. But look at the size of the lead that all this has given Wayne Macaulay. Is that it over? Will anybody have anything to catch back up with the reigning champion in the number 1 car? The way the season has gone right now, and that's it. That's all she wrote, one would imagine. As we look at the back of Paul Curtis there, looking pretty smooth and composed going through McIntyre's, the Butcher's chicane area. He's now in the back draft, you could say, of Peter Cruikshank. Stephen Ward flashes through Aidan Ward as well. But a bit of contact on lap number 1 at Clark's really just, it's not destroyed the race, but look what it's done there. It's given a massive advantage to Wayne Macaulay, and he will be chuckling all the way around. All he's got to do now is try and manage the tyres as best as he can, and if he can not do anything silly, he has got this one well and truly in his pocket as the guys make their way through the hairpin. And yeah, a little bit too wide there. Aidan Ward gets back on the track behind Stephen Ward. And here we go in towards Duffus Dip once again. Paul Curtis has caught right up to the back of Peter Cruikshank, and Peter Cruikshank in turn has caught right up to the back of Stuart Scott. And you can see how much of a gap in a lap they put into Lorne Murray. Little bit of oversteer, a little correction on turning there, but very smooth on the steering wheel. Oh, that's a good bit of driving there. Oh, good grief! Blair Murdoch comes through the chicane, and you can see the black mark that put down there. Now that won't do it any good. That puts a lot of stress through the tyre and those rear shocks as well. But they won't be liking this heat that we're getting here. And Blair looks like he's maybe starting to do that mistake on the first lap, overdriving the car just a little bit. Or is that headlight missing? Is that an advantage? Is that letting some cool air get into the engine, or is it acting like a sail? Either way, he'll be pacing the track at the end of the day to try and find the headlamp, because a headlamp for these, not the cheapest on the market, but also not the most expensive. As we make our way up the main straight, once again, these guys here just using their heads now, because it's all about trying to make sure that you don't run out of car towards the end. And that's not a dig at Blair Murdoch, sorry. You don't want to run out of car, you don't want to run out of tyres, you don't want to abuse the car too much. Look at the big wide sweeping line by Paul Curtis. He's trying to cut back underneath Peter Cruikshank ahead. As again, nice onboard driving here from Lorne as he comes through the chicane. And that's better from Blair, much more controlled and composed. Lap times, everybody in the top 4 lapping in the 60, well, just outside that Stuart Scott. No, in fact, Stuart Scott 62 seconds. Everybody in the 62-second bracket in the top 4 just now. As they head towards, ooh, what's happening there? Cruikshank goes up the inside of Stuart Scott, and that's going to be side by side to the hairpin. Now, will Paul Curtis manage to squeeze his 95 car into the mix of that as well? He's going to pick it up from this camera angle at the hairpin. It's a great long shot looking over towards Edinburgh. Look at this, 3 wide into the hairpin. Curtis on the outside. On the inside goes Stuart Scott. He tries to defend, and there's a little bit of contact with Peter Cruikshank. And Paul Curtis uses the old noodle there, tries to cut back to the inside. He's put himself on the grass now, trying at all costs not to hit the customers. And well, in business, Paul, that's a pretty good manoeuvre, to tell you the truth, even if it does jeopardise your own race. But he put himself on the grass and not wanting to have a coming together with Peter Cruikshank. And Lorne Murray squeezes past as well in the number 5 car. So Paul Curtis struggling a little bit in this one, to tell you the truth. I kind of thought he would have got through the guys a little bit quicker, but now he's going to try and get past car number 5 that we're on board with as we go down through Butchers, and that's Lorne Murray over the chicane. You see just how much the driver gets pushed about inside the seat inside there. Possible look to the mirror? Not yet. Focusing just ahead as we come through Clark Corner, nice and smooth, turning a bit of apex curve out towards the exit curve, and somebody ahead in the gravel, and that would be, I would imagine, Stuart Scott, because he's been doing a bit of that today. He'll be taking some of the Knockhill gravel trap home in all the wee compartments that gravel gathers in a race car. No matter what you do, you go in the gravel, you never quite get it all out. You'll always hear some of it rattling about somewhere. As we come into the hairpin, Paul Curtis looks at the inside of Lorne Murray. It's a nice kind of vague, hello, I'm here, will you let me through? And it wasn't much of an attempt, to tell the truth, Paul. Lorne did close the door eventually in the exit of the corner. They're up the main straight they go. Paul has got a little bit of history. He did actually have a coming together with was it Stuart Scott when they reversed direction in race number 1 at the chicane. I seem to remember that. It looked on from where I was in the commentary box, but then again it wasn't when you were on board with it. You saw Stuart Scott bouncing over the sausage curb at McIntyre's there. And again, these are great onboard cameras here as Lauren climbs the back straight. Maybe a little glance in the driver's door mirror just to see where Paul Curtis is. And Lauren really smooth on the steering wheel. They look how much quicker through the corner, gathering momentum all the way along towards the hairpin. Great bit of driving here, checking the mirrors. Is this going to be an attempt up the inside? These are fabulous onboard pictures. The two in front defend. What does he do? He stays to the outside. He's going to take a nice wide approach and try the old famous cutback at the hairpin. Can he do it? No, he can't. There's a problem with the gear selection mid-corner there. Bit of a shake of the head, and through goes Paul Curtis. So, and look how much momentum he's now losing up the main straight from that gear error at the hairpin. I do apologise, Lauren, as you go underneath the bridge, and Paul Curtis just streaks away back up to the back of Peter Cruikshank. Great onboard footage there. Great to see a lap around Knockhill, almost a lap of Knockhill in a car, as Blair Murdoch still bounces his way through the chicane. The lead at the front right now, some 3.5 seconds. Barry Farquharson trying as good as he possibly can to try and get that gap down, but really it's staying the same all the way just now. The door mirror still dangles in the breeze here at Knockhill. And the one-eyed Fiesta of Blair Murdoch comes through Clark Corner. Then we get Stuart Scott, Peter Cruikshank. Oh, Lauren now ahead of Paul Curtis again as we head towards the hairpin. The rest of the guys all coming through nice and neat and in control. But look at the gap that Macaulay's got. It's going to take something pretty special for Barry Farquharson to try and catch that gap back up as we come back in towards the hairpin. Paul Curtis again lines up a manoeuvre. Is it on? Is it on? Yes, it is. Unfortunately, though, he just really can't go this time as he cuts back across the front. Yes, good move, Paul Curtis. Stephen Ward now starting to home into the back of this in the number 55 car. Stephen with his son Aidan in this race. Great to see them back. We missed them at the last meeting. I believe they were possibly on holiday. We'll let that one go. Just try not to book your holidays when we have a race meeting on. Look at the speed of Paul Curtis here as he goes towards the apex of Duffus Dip. Huge corner entry speed. He's now all over the back of the most experienced man, I'm going to say in the paddock actually. That's maybe the truth actually. There you go, there's a frightening thought. Peter Cruikshank as we climb the hill. They're going to pop into view. There you go. 1, 2, 3 and then 4 for Lauren Murray and then 5 for Stephen Ward as they go up the back straight towards Clark Corner now. Was that a possible manoeuvre going in towards Clark? So we're going to see, is Barry Farquharson starting to catch Wayne Macaulay actually? Hang on, hold everything I just said about it being over at the front. Barry Farquharson's last lap was a second faster than Wayne Macaulay. So things now starting to go. Did Macaulay make a mistake on that lap? Has the tyres or has something gone wrong in the car? As we come in towards the hairpin, we focus on the reigning champion in the number 1 car. Look at the turn and just not wanting to happen there. Massive amounts of understeer when the front wheels change direction, but the car doesn't follow where the wheels are pointing and it pushes on at the front. Horrible, horrible thing. You've maybe had it a roundabout in the wet before and you've not noticed it. Well, you will the next time. Look at these guys, 4 cars all together now. Lauren Murray all over the back of Paul Curtis as Curtis pops out from the slipstream. He pulls to the inside of the track on Peter Cruikshank. He's going to have a shot at this going in towards Duffus Dip. Here they come. Curtis is on the inside and he's through. He makes a move stick and he's into that position. He's into 5th position from the back of the grid in a one-make series is good. Stuart Scott defends in towards turn 3. We can see that from the top of Duffus Dip, and I'm convinced that Barry Farquharson is putting on a very late race charge here. Again, he's quite quick through sector 1 and makes his way up the back straight towards Clark, so we get the rest of the guys coming through and up towards the same point on the track. Sector 1 goes from the start line round to the exit of turn 3 McIntyre's, and oh, something happened at Clark. So that looks like Stuart Scott getting shown the gravel trap from Paul Curtis now. So those guys, obviously Stuart Scott not a customer of PCR Motorsport. He gets a little nerf into the gravel trap as Macaulay gets to the hairpin. Farquharson definitely catching him now as they go through Blair Murdoch not able to stay with the pace of Barry Farquharson, and we wait for the next gaggle of cars to come in. Anything could happen about to come into your screen. Look at that, wow, formation flying. Peter Cruikshank now hits the front. Lorne Murray goes up the inside of Paul Curtis. Stuart Scott goes from the front of that battle to the back, and they're 3 wide up the main straight, and the Fiesta's here. Stuart Scott trying to get back on terms with Paul Curtis, and Paul Curtis just goes across the nose of Lorne Murray there to take the position back. So fabulous racing here. Curtis on the inside of Stuart Scott. Stuart Scott's brave at Duffy's Dip. He tries to go round outside. Will he make that manoeuvre stick? Yes, we go on board with Lorne and go through Leslie's, hit the brakes for McIntyre's, and great bit of driving in the Fiestas there. Everybody staying on track, swapping positions, no contact whatsoever. But you could also see Paul Curtis's car really protesting as he tried to get it turned in towards turn 3 at McIntyre's. Murray a little bit slow through the chicane. There's Curtis as a go in towards Clark's. He sends it, and that's what it is. It's a big intake of breath. Stuart Scott's not taking it easy today. He's well and truly got the elbows out, and he wants to remain in that position, if not get Peter Cruikshank back. Now, we did say Farquharson was putting together a late race charge, and by golly, is he ever. Again, 3/4 of a second faster on the last lap than Wayne Macaulay. In the actual race fastest laps, the best fastest lap, it goes to Barry Farquharson with the 62.0 as that battle craziness comes through the hairpin, that's all we can call it. And because everybody's having a good battle behind Peter Cruikshank, now Peter Cruikshank's been released. Excuse me, he's not really having to bother too much about what's going on behind him. But a 62.0, the best lap of the race for Barry Farquharson. And you can see he's also got damage on the back bumper. Now, 9 times out of 10 in a saloon car, a one-make series, if your back bumper's dislodged like that, it would act like a sail, and that would slow you down on the main straight. Wonder if it's given him a bit more downforce and a little bit more grip because of these tyres going off. Yeah, interesting thought, Duncan. Let's move on from that. As Stephen Ward now goes all over the back of Lorne Murray as they go down Butchers and over the Arnold or over the chicane. Knew that would slip in eventually. Up the back straight we go towards Clark Corner. And these guys all now really look like they're in tyre trouble, sliding about from the front, and then you can see the slide transferring through to the back as the car then goes back to the front and understeers. They don't look nice to drive, but it's coming down to the very, very end of the race, and Farquharson has put together an almost perfect comeback here. He'll be delighted to see Wayne Macaulay coming back towards him, and if he can catch him, if he can make the move, it will be a brilliant result for Barry, as through the hairpin come the rest of these guys. We have, unfortunately, a couple of fairly, shall we say, dull, boring Fiesta races this year. This one, though, has been absolutely fabulous for the battles mid-pack and what's happening at the front. In both these races today, the Fiesta guys have really turned it on for us as they go through the chicane. Let's take a look at the timing screens once again. There's now a second between the guys at the front. That second, well, once you get them within a second, you really start getting G'd up. You really start smelling the car in front of you, and it just draws you in even more. And he's bridged quite a big gap, Barry Farquharson, so he's going to be absolutely loving this by the time he gets towards the end of the race. Under a second as they come into the hairpin. We're down to 6/10 of a second. It's been a great attempt by Barry Farquharson, but it's not to be. The checkered flag waves from Macaulay. 6/10 of a second as he crossed the line. What a comeback drive for Farquharson. He can hold his head high. Macaulay wins the race. Blair Murdoch comes through, and look at that contact at the hairpin. Stuart Scott drives into the side of Paul Curtis. Bang! Take that, and Stephen Ward gets past both them on the run up towards the line. So a very un-Stuart Scott manoeuvre there into the side of Paul Curtis and takes both those guys further down. So Macaulay wins from Farquharson, Murdoch, Cruikshank, Murray, Stephen Moore, Stuart Scott, Curtis, Ward, and lowering the top 10. Fiona, pick the bones out of that.
Congratulations, Wayne. 2 out of 2 wins. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, very pleased with that. But I mean, that was a hard race there because I had to get a big lead in the start because I knew by the end of the race that the car would start to slow down because we've got a bit of a performance issue up the straights. But we kept it together and just kept it clean on the track and put in good laps and stayed in front. So good. It was good.
It's hot out there today. Have you managed to survive?
Just probably losing more water than I'm putting in, to be honest. So yeah.
Go home and hydrate with a beer and celebrate.
Oh, definitely.
Well, congratulations, and we'll see you again at the next round. That concludes the racing here today in Knockhill for the Scottish Hot Hatch Championship. We'll see you again in August.